The galaxy laughed. Until Earth's battleship entered the system. Part 1. Richard Hayes stood alone in the middle of the Grand Council chamber. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him from all sides. Some blinked with multiple eyelids. Others glowed in strange colors. All of them shared one thing. They looked down on him. "The human wishes to speak again," announced Vexillar, the Nathari Council president. His voice boomed through the massive room. 4 arms gestured toward Hayes, each movement slow and deliberate. "Perhaps he will entertain us further with tales of Earth's mighty ships." Laughter filled the chamber. It came in many forms: clicking mandibles, rumbling growls, high-pitched whistles. All of it meant the same thing. They were laughing at Earth, laughing at humans, laughing at him. Hayes took a deep breath. He was used to this treatment after 3 years as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Confederation. Humans were the new kids in space. Only 200 years of interstellar flight compared to the thousands or even tens of thousands that other species claimed. "Esteemed President, honored representatives," Hayes began, his voice steady despite the continuing snickers. "Earth formally requests reconsideration of our petition for full membership status." This brought fresh waves of laughter. A holographic display activated above the central platform, showing Earth's solar system and its modest collection of colonies on Mars, Venus, and a handful of moons. Ambassador Zorn of the Zilarian Empire rose from his seat. His blue-scaled skin reflected the chamber lights as he spread his arms wide. "My fellow representatives, once again we must educate our human friends on galactic realities." Zorn's mouth formed what passed for a smile among his kind. "Let us compare, shall we?" With a wave of his hand, the hologram expanded to show Zilarian territory, hundreds of star systems spanning 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. The Zilarian Empire has traveled between stars for over 9,000 years. We have transformed dead worlds into paradise gardens. We have moved moons to better orbits. We have tamed suns. Zorn turned to face Hayes directly. "And what has Earth accomplished? You've barely left your cradle." The hologram shifted again, now showing side-by-side comparisons of ships. The largest Earth vessel looked like a toy next to the smallest Zilarian cruiser. "Your fusion drives are quaint relics. Your weapon systems would make good museum pieces. Your artificial intelligence is hardly worthy of the name." Zorn's voice dripped with mockery. "Perhaps in another 500 years you might be ready for associate membership." Hayes remained still, his face a mask of calm. Inside, his heart raced. The device in his pocket had just vibrated with a message from Earth Command. 3 quick pulses, the signal he had been waiting for. "The human remains silent," called out a Drengi representative from the upper tiers. "Perhaps he finally understands his place." Hayes looked up, meeting the Drengi's compound eyes. "I understand more than you might think," he said quietly. The chamber fell silent at his tone. It wasn't angry or defensive, it was confident. "Earth withdraws its petition for membership," Hayes announced. Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. This was not the reaction they expected. Instead, Hayes continued, "I request the Council's attention for a demonstration, 3 standard days from now." Vexillar leaned forward on his massive throne. "A demonstration? Of what?" "A new Earth vessel," Hayes replied simply. Zorn burst into fresh laughter. "Have you built a slightly larger toy, Ambassador?" Hayes smiled for the first time that day. "You might say that." "This council has important matters to discuss," Vexillar rumbled. "We cannot delay proceedings for human pride." From the back of the chamber, an ancient voice spoke. The Drothi representative, elder of one of the oldest species in the Confederation, rarely participated in debates. "I would see this demonstration," the Drothi said. Its body was mostly hidden beneath flowing robes, but its eyes shone with intelligence that had witnessed millennia of galactic politics. The chamber fell silent. When a Drothi showed interest, others paid attention. Vexillar nodded slowly. "Very well. 3 standard days, Ambassador Hayes. Your demonstration had better be worth our time. I believe you'll find it most illuminating, Hayes replied with a small bow. Thank you for your patience. As the council moved on to other matters, Hayes slipped quietly from the chamber. In the corridor outside, he activated his secure communicator. They've agreed, he said quietly. Fleet Admiral Susan Reynolds appeared in the small holographic display. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, her uniform impeccable. Excellent, she replied. The Defiance is ready. Captain Grant reports all systems are functioning beyond expectations. And they suspect nothing? Reynolds smiled. Our intelligence confirms the Confederation still believes we're decades away from cracking folded space mathematics. Let's hope it stays that way for 3 more days. Hayes glanced around to ensure he was alone. I almost feel sorry for them. Don't, Reynolds said firmly. They've had centuries to treat us as equals. They chose mockery instead. Hayes nodded. How's the crew holding up? 1,000 men and women who've trained in absolute secrecy for 5 years. They're ready to make history. Reynolds leaned closer to the display. Just keep the council distracted. Don't give them any reason to increase system security. Don't worry. I'm about to become the most boring human in the galaxy for the next 3 days. Reynolds laughed. Enjoy it while you can. After the Defiance arrives, boring is the last thing any human will be called again. As Hayes ended the communication, he spotted Ambassador Zorn approaching with several aides. The Zalarian's face showed smug amusement. Ambassador Hayes, Zorn called out. I hope your feelings aren't too bruised by today's reality check. Not at all, Hayes replied pleasantly. In fact, I appreciate your candor. It's always valuable to understand how others see you. Zorn seemed disappointed by Hayes's calm response. This demonstration you speak of, I assume it's some new colony ship? Perhaps you've added another engine? You'll just have to wait and see, Hayes said. Though I suggest you clear your schedule. It might change your perspective on a few things. Nothing humans do could possibly surprise me, Zorn said dismissively. Hayes smiled. 3 days, Ambassador Zorn. I think you'll find it worth the wait. As Zorn walked away with his entourage, Hayes looked out through a massive viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, hidden from all known tracking systems, the Earth battleship Defiance was making final preparations. Soon the galaxy would learn that humans had been very busy during their centuries of being underestimated, and they would never laugh at Earth again. The galaxy laughed, until Earth's battleship entered the system. Part 2 word spread quickly through the gleaming towers of Centauri Prime. Humans were planning something. No one knew exactly what, but it was enough to make the Drothi interested. That alone was unusual. Lieutenant Commander Alan Foster sat quietly in the corner of the officers' mess. His uniform marked him as Earth's military attaché, but most alien officers barely noticed him. Humans were not considered a military power, worth attention. This suited Foster just fine. People said more when they thought no one important was listening. The human ambassador has certainly stirred up interest, said a Nathari officer, his 4 arms moving in the complex patterns of his species' body language. My security detail has tripled for tomorrow's demonstration. His companion, a Zalarian, Commander, made a dismissive gesture. Wasted resources. These humans and their tin can ships pose no threat. Foster sipped his drink slowly, eyes down, but ears open. Still, continued the Nathari, my sources say Earth's shipyards have been unusually active in recent months. Many supplies redirected, personnel transfers kept classified. The Zalarian laughed. Probably building a slightly larger colony ship and calling it a warship. Their largest vessel wouldn't even qualify as one of our scout ships. 3 tables away, Catherine Morgan entered the mess hall. As Earth's chief engineer representative, she rarely visited military spaces. Her presence drew curious looks. Foster watched as she took a seat near a group of technical officers from various species. Morgan was playing her part perfectly. She ordered a drink, then another. Soon she was talking loudly about theoretical propulsion advances and Einstein-Rosen manifold mathematics. Most officers nearby rolled their eyes or laughed quietly. "The human female has had too much to drink," commented the Zilarian commander with amusement. "Listen to her babble about folding space. As if humans could master such technology in less than 1,000 years." Foster noticed something the Zilarian missed. While most aliens were dismissing Morgan's apparent drunken ramblings, an ancient Drothi engineer was listening intently, its wrinkled face showing the first signs of worry. Morgan caught Foster's eye briefly. A tiny nod passed between them before she continued her act, now spilling details about power requirements that would drain a small sun, while seeming increasingly intoxicated. Foster finished his drink and left casually. His real work would happen later that night. In his quarters, Foster activated the secure communication system hidden in what appeared to be a standard Earth entertainment unit. The encryption was far more advanced than anything the Confederation believed humans possessed. "Status report," came Admiral Reynolds' voice. "Operation proceeding as planned," Foster replied. "Engineer Morgan is seeding the technical community, with hints. Ambassador Hayes has maintained perfect diplomatic cover. The Zilarians remain completely dismissive. And the Drothi?" Foster hesitated. "They're paying attention, more than we expected." Reynolds' holographic image showed her nodding thoughtfully. "Not surprising. They've been around longer than anyone. They see patterns others miss. Should we be concerned?" "No. The Drothi prefer to watch and wait. By the time they decide to share their suspicions, the Defiance will already be here." Reynolds checked something off screen. "Captain Grant reports they're ready to jump on schedule. And the crew? Eager. They've trained for years knowing they might make history." Reynolds leaned closer. "How are the Confederation's orbital defenses looking?" Foster smiled. "Standard patrol pattern. They're not expecting anything unusual. Our intelligence was correct. They truly believe we're centuries away from being a serious presence in the galaxy." "Their mistake," Reynolds said simply. "Continue monitoring and report any changes. We're 26 hours from arrival." The communication ended. Foster sat back, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. The galaxy was about to change forever. Across the city, Ambassador Hayes was attending yet another diplomatic function. These events had once been painful exercises in being ignored. Now he moved through the crowd with quiet confidence, drawing curious looks. "Ambassador Hayes," called Ambassador Zorn, approaching with several other diplomats. "We were just discussing your announcement. Care to give us a preview of tomorrow's demonstration?" Hayes smiled politely. "I wouldn't want to spoil the surprise." "Come now," Zorn pressed. "Surely you can tell us something. Have you developed a new mining vessel? Perhaps finally mastered basic terraforming?" The others laughed, but Hayes noticed, their eyes watching him carefully. His silence over the past 2 days had created more interest than any human had managed in decades of Confederation membership. "I'll say only this," Hayes replied. "Tomorrow will mark a turning point in how the Confederation views Earth's capabilities." Zorn's smile faded slightly. "That sounds almost like a threat, Ambassador." "Not at all. Think of it more as a correction of perspective." Hayes nodded politely and moved away, leaving the aliens looking after him with mixed expressions. Later, that night, Hayes met secretly with Morgan and Foster in a secure room beneath the Earth Embassy. The walls were lined with technology that blocked all known forms of surveillance. "They're getting nervous," Hayes said. "The Zilarians especially. They've tried to hack our communication systems 3 times today." Morgan smiled. "With technology, they think we have. They're not even looking for the actual systems we're using." "The Drothi are the wild card," Foster added. "They suspect something significant is coming." Hayes nodded. "But they're keeping those suspicions to themselves. That works in our favor." He activated a small device that projected a countdown timer. Less than 18 hours remained. "Final checks," Hayes said. "Communications?" "Secure and ready." Foster. "Confirmed." "The Defiance can transmit directly to us the moment they arrive." "Defense grid analysis?" Morgan nodded. "Complete. We've identified all blind spots and coverage gaps. Captain Grant will have the data for perfect positioning. Hayes took a deep breath. After tomorrow, everything changes. Earth will never be dismissed again. Are you worried about their reaction? Morgan asked quietly. Once they realize how long we've been deceiving them? Hayes looked thoughtful. They've had 200 years to treat us as equals. Instead, they chose mockery and restrictions. Tomorrow they learn that humans don't stay down when they're pushed. As the meeting ended, Foster looked out the window at the glittering city. Alien architecture stretched toward the stars, symbols of species that had explored the galaxy while humans were still figuring out basic rocketry. They think they know us, he said softly. They've never bothered to really look. Hayes stood beside him. Tomorrow they'll have no choice but to see us clearly. Across the diplomatic quarter, in the ancient Drothi embassy, the eldest of their delegation sat in meditation. Its species had witnessed the rise and fall of dozens of galactic powers over thousands of years. The humans were young, yes, but there was something about them that reminded the old Drothi of other species who had changed the galaxy's balance of power. Species that smiled and endured mockery while secretly building the means to ensure it. Never happened again. The Drothi opened its eyes. Tomorrow would indeed be interesting. The galaxy laughed, until Earth's battleship entered the system. Part 3, the Grand Council chamber was filled beyond capacity. Word of the human demonstration had spread throughout Centauri Prime. Many came expecting entertainment, a chance to see Earth's ambassador make more empty claims. Others came from curiosity. A few, like the ancient Drothi delegation, came from genuine interest. Ambassador Hayes stood calmly at the center of the chamber. He had not spoken yet. The room buzzed with conversation and speculation. The human keeps us waiting, growled Ambassador Zorn to his aides. Perhaps his great demonstration is merely an empty performance. Council President Vexlar raised all four of his arms, calling for silence. The chamber gradually grew quiet. Ambassador Hayes. Vexlar's deep voice echoed. We have assembled as requested. Now, what is this demonstration you promised? Hayes checked the time display on his wrist device. Thank you for your patience, President Vexlar. The demonstration will begin in exactly 3 minutes. Murmurs swept through the chamber. 3 minutes until what? Demanded a Drengi representative. We were told you would show us a new Earth vessel. Where is it? Hayes smiled politely. It's on its way. In the back of the chamber, Catherine Morgan and Alan Foster monitored their own devices. The countdown reached 0. They exchanged a quick glance. It was time. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Red emergency lights flashed. The massive holographic display at the center of the room changed to show the Centauri system's defensive grid. What is happening? Vexlar demanded, rising from his chair. A Zalarian defense officer rushed into the chamber. Unknown vessel detected. It appeared inside our defense perimeter without using any jump gate. The holographic display zoomed in to show a massive ship. Its design was clearly human, but unlike anything the Confederation had ever seen from Earth. It dwarfed the nearby patrol vessels. Impossible! Zorn shouted, staring at the display. No ship that size could bypass our detection grid. Hayes stepped forward calmly. Council representatives, I present to you the Earth battleship Defiance, the first of our new Sovereign-class vessels. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives demanded immediate action. Others called for calm. The Drothi remained, silent, watching intently. This is a violation of Confederation security protocols, Zorn shouted above the noise. No new military vessel may enter Centauri space without prior notification and inspection. Hayes turned to Zorn with a level gaze. The Confederation denied Earth full membership. As such, we are not bound by those restrictions. We notified you 3 days ago that we would demonstrate a new vessel. Here it is. On the holographic display, the Defiance moved with surprising grace for its size. It easily maneuvered past the confused patrol ships. How did it enter the system without using a jump gate? Asked the Nathari science representative, more curious than alarmed. Before Hayes could answer, Catherine Morgan stepped forward. The Einstein-Rosen manifold drive. It allows direct point-to-point travel without reliance on artificial gates. The chamber fell silent at this revelation. Jump gates were the foundation of Confederation power. They controlled access between star systems. Every known spacefaring race relied on them, until now. That's impossible, the Zalarian science, Delegate said, but his voice lacked conviction. Such technology is theoretical at best. It would require energy levels no ship could generate. Morgan smiled. Perhaps you underestimated human ingenuity. The display changed to show a communication request from the Defiance. Hayes nodded to Vexlar, who reluctantly authorized the connection. Captain Olivia Grant appeared on the screen. Her dark uniform was simple but elegant, far more advanced than what human officers usually wore. Greetings, Council President Vexlar, Grant said formally. I request permission to send a shuttle to bring Ambassador Hayes aboard the Defiance for your delegation's inspection tour. Vexlar looked stunned. Inspection tour? Hayes stepped forward again. Yes. I've invited representatives from each major Confederation species to tour the Defiance, to see firsthand what Earth is capable of. This is an outrage, Zorn shouted. A military ambush disguised as diplomacy. The eldest Drothi finally spoke, its ancient voice silencing the chamber. If the humans intended aggression, Ambassador Zorn, they would not have announced their arrival, nor would they invite us aboard their vessel. It turned its ancient eyes to Hayes. How long has Earth possessed this technology? Hayes met the Drothi's gaze steadily. We completed our first successful prototype 15 years ago. The Defiance has been in service for 3. 3 years? Gasped several voices. Impossible, all while enduring your mockery and trade restrictions, Hayes added. You believed we were confined to our small corner of space, dependent on your jump gates. We allowed you to believe that while we explored the galaxy on our own terms, indeed. The display, more data about the Defiance appeared. Its size was 3 times larger than any known human vessel. Its power readings exceeded most Confederation cruisers. Its weapons systems were like nothing seen before. We request a recess to consult with our governments, said the Nathari representative, clearly shaken. Of course, Hayes replied. In the meantime, I invite the scientific and military delegation to join me aboard the Defiance. A shuttle will arrive at Docking Bay 12 in 30 minutes. As the chamber emptied, representatives hurrying to contact their homeworlds, Ambassador Zorn approached Hayes. This deception will not be forgotten, he hissed quietly. Hayes nodded. Neither will 2 centuries of being treated as children when we were your equals all along. Foster and Morgan joined Hayes as they walked toward the shuttle bay. None of them spoke until they were alone in a secure transport pod. The Defiance made a perfect jump, Foster said, checking his datapad. Captain Grant reports all systems functioning at optimal levels. How are the Confederation Defense Forces responding? Hayes asked. Morgan smiled. Exactly as predicted. They've mobilized their patrol fleet, but they're keeping their distance. They don't know what to make of us. And the media? Going crazy, Foster replied. The news that humans have broken the jump gate monopoly is spreading across the Confederation faster than light. The transport pod slowed as they approached the shuttle bay. Through the viewport, they could see the sleek black shuttle of the Defiance waiting. Its design was unlike the bulky craft Earth had always used before. Everything changes today, Hayes said quietly. Are you ready for what comes next? Morgan asked. The political fallout will be enormous. Hayes nodded slowly. Earth has spent too long being laughed at. It's time we took our place as equals. As they exited the transport pod, they found a group of representatives already waiting. The Drothi scientist stood at the front. You deceived us all, it said simply. We protected ourselves, Hayes corrected. Would you have done differently, if treated as we were? The Drothi was silent for a moment. No, it finally admitted. We would not. Together they boarded the shuttle. As it rose from the spaceport, they could see the sprawling city of Centauri Prime below. For centuries it had been the center of galactic politics, a place where humans came as supplicants. Now Earth was changing the rules. The shuttle cleared the atmosphere, and there, dominating the view, was the Defiance. Its black hull absorbed starlight. Its size made the nearby patrol ships look like toys. Its design spoke of power and purpose. No one in the shuttle spoke as they approached. Even Hayes, who had seen the plans for years, felt his breath catch. The Defiance wasn't just a ship. It was Earth's declaration of independence, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy laughed, until Earth's battleship entered the system. Part 4. The shuttle docked smoothly with the Defiance. As the airlock opened, Captain Olivia Grant stood waiting. Her uniform was crisp and elegant, with subtle gold trim that marked her as the ship's commander. "Welcome aboard the Earth battleship Defiance," she said, her voice calm and professional. "I am Captain Grant. It is my honor to show you what humans have achieved." The delegation stepped forward cautiously. There were 12 representatives in total, one from each major Confederation species. Ambassador Zorn of the Zilarians kept his scaled hands close to his ceremonial weapon. The ancient Drothi moved slowly but with obvious interest. "This way, please," Grant said, leading them into a wide corridor. Unlike the cramped passages of previous human ships, the corridors of the Defiance were spacious and elegant. The lighting was perfect, neither too bright nor too dim for any species' eyes. "How large is your crew?" asked the Nathari military representative. 1,000 personnel, Grant replied. "Though the ship could function with as few as 200 if necessary, our automation systems are quite advanced." They entered a large room with a circular table. Holographic displays activated as they approached. "This is our primary briefing room," Grant explained. "Before we tour the ship, I believe Ambassador Hayes has some information to share." Hayes stepped forward. The tension in the room was thick, enough to cut. "For 200 years, he began, Earth has played a careful game. We appeared weaker than we were. We seemed more primitive than we truly became. We did this for one simple reason: survival." He activated the main display, showing a map of known space. The territories controlled by various Confederation powers were highlighted. When humans first achieved faster-than-light travel, we studied the galaxy carefully. We observed how larger powers treated smaller ones, how established species responded to newcomers. Hayes looked directly at Ambassador Zorn. "We watched as the Talari were restricted to 3 systems because they developed technology that threatened Zilarian trade routes." Zorn shifted uncomfortably. "We witnessed the Brakiri confined to a single planet after developing weapons that concerned the Confederation Council." Hayes continued. "So we made a decision. We would show you what we wanted you to see, while developing our true capabilities, in secret." "Deception is not the foundation for trust," said the Drothi representative quietly. "Neither is mockery and restriction," Hayes replied. "But today marks a new beginning. Captain Grant will now show you exactly what Earth has achieved." They moved through the ship. The engine room revealed power systems beyond anything the Confederation had developed. The weapons deck displayed defensive and offensive capabilities that stunned even the military representatives. "This cannot be possible," muttered Ambassador Zorn as they observed the main weapons array. "These energy readings would require technology we believed was centuries beyond human development." Catherine Morgan smiled slightly. "We found that motivation is a powerful accelerator of innovation, Ambassador. Being constantly underestimated provided excellent motivation." In the navigation center, the delegation stared in disbelief at the Einstein-Rosen manifold drive, the system that allowed the Defiance to travel without jump gates. "Our scientists theorized such a system," said the Nathari science delegate, "but we considered it impossible to build. The energy requirements alone would be substantial, yes," Morgan finished for him. "We solved that problem 12 years ago." The final stop was the bridge. Unlike the cramped control rooms of previous human vessels, the bridge of the Defiance was spacious and elegant. Officers worked at advanced stations, their movements efficient and precise. "Captain," called a young officer, "the Confederation Council is requesting a demonstration of our drive system." Grant looked to Hayes, who nodded. Very well, Grant said. Prepare the ship for a short jump. Let's show our guests what the Defiance can do. Warning sounds echoed through the ship. The view screens showed the startled Confederation patrol ships moving quickly away. Manifold drive engaging in 3, 2, 1, announced the navigation officer. There was no sensation of movement. No vibration or sound. Just a brief dimming of lights. On the view screens, the stars shifted. Centauri Prime was gone. Instead, they saw a massive gas giant with swirling bands of orange and red. What happened? Where are we? Demanded Zorn, his voice rising in alarm. Jupiter, Grant replied calmly. In Earth's home system, we are now approximately 37 light-years from where we were 10 seconds ago. Stunned silence fell over the delegation. Impossible, whispered the Drengi representative. Even our fastest ships would take weeks to cover that distance. This changes everything, the Drothi said quietly. The jump gate network is no longer the only way to travel. Between stars, indeed, Hayes agreed. And Earth is no longer dependent on Confederation approval to travel, trade, or colonize. Grant ordered another jump. Again, the briefest dimming of lights. Then they were back at Centauri Prime, exactly where they had started. As they moved to the conference room for discussions, the delegates whispered among themselves, fear mixed with awe in their voices. How many of these ships do you have? Asked the Nathari military representative directly. Grant and Hayes exchanged glances. The Defiance is the first of its class to be revealed publicly, Hayes answered carefully. I am not authorized to discuss our full fleet composition at this time. The implication was clear. There could be more ships like the Defiance already, in service hidden from Confederation monitoring. In the conference room, refreshments waited. The delegates sat in uneasy silence until the Drothi representative spoke. You have hidden your true capabilities for many years, it said to Hayes. Why reveal them now? Hayes looked around the table. Because Earth is tired of being dismissed, tired of being treated as children among adults. We are ready to take our place as equals in this galaxy. You expect us to simply accept this deception? Zorn demanded. To welcome you as equals after you have lied about your capabilities for centuries? Alan Foster, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. Ambassador Zorn, we never lied. We simply never corrected your assumptions. You chose to see us as primitive. You never bothered to look deeper. The Confederation Council will need to convene an emergency session, said the Nathari representative. This revelation changes the balance of power significantly. Hayes nodded. We understand. Earth is prepared to negotiate new terms for cooperation with the Confederation, as equals, not supplicants. And if the Council refuses? Asked Zorn. Captain. Grant's expression remained neutral, but her eyes were firm. Then Earth will chart its own course among the stars. We have already established colonies beyond Confederation space, using the manifold drive. We would prefer cooperation, but we no longer require permission. The delegates looked at each other in stunned silence. For species accustomed to seeing humans as technological infants, the revelation was shocking. Earth had not only caught up, but had surpassed them in key areas. As the delegation prepared to return to Centauri Prime, the ancient Drothi approached Hayes privately. This has been prepared for a very long time, it said quietly. A careful, patient strategy. Hayes nodded. Generations of humans worked in secret, knowing they might never see the final result, but they believed in a future where Earth would stand as an equal. The Drothi's ancient eyes studied Hayes carefully. The galaxy will never laugh at Earth again, but be careful, Ambassador. Respect earned through fear is not the same as respect earned through trust. Hayes looked out the viewport at the stars beyond. We tried trust for 200 years. Perhaps now that we have your attention, we can build something better. The galaxy laughed, until Earth's battleship entered the system. Part 5, 3 days after the Defiance revealed itself to the galaxy, the Confederation Council gathered for an emergency session. The chamber was packed. Every species had sent their highest-ranking representatives. Even powers that normally sent only junior diplomats had their leaders present. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Richard Hayes. He looked calm, though he had barely slept in the past 72 hours. Beside him stood Admiral Susan Reynolds, who had arrived from Earth the previous day aboard a smaller but equally advanced vessel. "This emergency session will now begin," announced Council President Vexlar. His normally commanding voice seemed subdued. "The first matter before us is Earth's revised petition for membership." Murmurs ran through the chamber. Everyone had seen the reports. Everyone had watched the recordings from the Defiance. The human ship that could travel without jump gates had changed everything. Ambassador Zorn stood, his blue scales reflecting the chamber lights. "Before we discuss any petition, we must address the deception. Earth has hidden its true technological capabilities for years. This represents a security threat to the entire Confederation." Admiral Reynolds stepped forward. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, her uniform displaying subtle metals that no one in the chamber recognized. "The Confederation has treated Earth as a minor power since our first contact," she said, her voice steady. "You restricted our trade. You limited our access to certain technologies. You mocked our ships and our capabilities." She activated a holographic display, showing historical records of Confederation interactions with Earth. When the Tillari developed their gravitic propulsion system, the Confederation restricted them to 3 systems, citing security concerns. When the Brakiri created their phase cannons, they were confined to a single planet. Reynolds looked directly at Zorn. "Earth learned from their examples. We chose a different path. A path of deception," Zorn insisted. "A path of survival," Hayes countered. "And now, a path to equality." The eldest Drothi representative rose slowly from its seat. The chamber fell silent. When the oldest spacefaring race spoke, everyone listened. The humans acted as any young species would when faced with restrictions from more established powers, the Drothi said. They adapted. They survived. Now they have earned their place at this table, not through our permission, but through their own ingenuity. Vexlar tapped his ceremonial staff. "What exactly does Earth want from this council?" Hayes activated his own display. A list of proposed terms appeared. "Earth seeks full membership in the Confederation, with equal rights to all other members. We want unrestricted trade access and representation on all committees, including military and technology development." "Impossible," shouted several voices. "In return," Hayes continued calmly, "we offer to share certain technologies, including advances in medical science, agricultural development, and limited aspects of our propulsion systems, but not the manifold drive," noted the Nathari science delegate. Admiral Reynolds smiled slightly. "That remains proprietary to Earth for now." "You cannot expect us to accept these terms," Zorn said. "You threaten the very foundation of the Confederation, control of interstellar travel, and then demand full membership?" Hayes looked around the chamber. "We are not threatening anyone. We are offering partnership. The alternative is for Earth to walk its own path. We no longer need Confederation jump gates. We no longer require your permission to colonize new worlds or establish trade routes." His words hung in the air. Everyone understood the implication. For centuries, the Confederation had controlled which species could travel where through their monopoly on jump gate technology. Earth had broken that monopoly. "May I suggest a recess?" the Drothi representative said. "I believe many delegations need to consult with their governments." Vexlar quickly agreed. As representatives filed out, Ambassador Zorn approached Hayes and Reynolds. "This will not stand," he said quietly. "Some members are already discussing military options." Reynolds met his gaze calmly. "That would be unwise, Ambassador. The Defiance is not our only ship of its class." Zorn's eyes widened slightly. "How many do you have?" "Enough," Reynolds replied simply. As Zorn walked away, Hayes sighed. "We didn't want it to come to threats." "Sometimes strength is the only language. That's respected," Reynolds said. "But we're offering them a reasonable alternative." Across the chamber, Catherine Morgan and Alan Foster were deep in conversation with the Drothi scientists. Unlike most species, the Drothi had shown more curiosity than fear at Earth's revelations. Your Einstein-Rosen manifold theory builds on mathematical principles our people explored millennia ago, the eldest Drothi scientist said. Yet we never made the final connections that you did. Fascinating. Morgan smiled. Sometimes the newcomers gave us an advantage. We approached old problems with fresh perspectives. When the council reconvened hours later, the mood had changed. Many of the angry voices had quieted. The Drothi and several other elder races had been speaking privately with various delegations. Vexlar called the session to order. We have a proposal. Earth will be granted full membership status with all rights and privileges. In exchange, Earth will share its advanced medical technologies and agricultural developments immediately. Hayes nodded. This was progress. Additionally, Vexlar continued, Earth will join the Confederation Security Council and work with other powers to establish new protocols for interstellar travel in an era where jump gates are no longer the only method. Reynolds and Hayes exchanged glances. This was more than they had expected. We accept these terms, Hayes said. With one addition. Earth's colonies established beyond Confederation space will be recognized as sovereign Earth territory. There was some grumbling, but the Drothi representative nodded in support. The motion passed. Later, aboard the Defiance, Hayes stood with Reynolds, Morgan, and Foster on the observation deck. Below them, Centauri Prime glowed against the darkness of space. It worked, Foster said, still sounding surprised. They actually accepted our terms. Fear is a powerful motivator, Reynolds noted. But so is opportunity. The Drothi and other elder races see the potential in collaboration rather than conflict. Hayes looked thoughtful. For 200 years, humans endured, being treated as children in a galaxy of adults. Today, that ends. What happens now? Morgan asked. The Defiance and its sister ships change everything. The jump gate monopoly is broken. Reynolds smiled. Now the real work begins, proving we deserved a seat at the table all along. As they spoke, a steady stream of diplomatic vessels approached the Defiance. Representatives who had once ignored humans at every function were now eager to establish bilateral agreements. Species that had restricted trade with Earth were suddenly offering exclusive deals. They're not just afraid of us, Hayes observed. They're curious about what else we might have developed in secret. And they should be, Reynolds said quietly. The manifold drive was just the beginning. Hayes looked out at the stars beyond. Centauri Prime. For centuries, humans had looked up at those stars with wonder and determination. They had endured mockery and restrictions. They had worked in secret, generation after generation, maintaining the facade of technological inferiority while developing innovations their dismissive neighbors never suspected. The galaxy laughed at us, he said softly. They're not laughing anymore. Morgan joined him at the viewport. What will Earth do with its new place in the stars? Hayes watched as more diplomatic shuttles approached the Defiance. Something better than what was done to us, he replied. We remembered what it felt like to be dismissed. Now we have the chance to build a different kind of future. Beyond the viewport, the stars stretched to infinity. For the first time, they were truly within humanity's reach, no permission required.